Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you for. It must be late where you are.
No, it's only 3 p.m.
Okay.
You're in the UK, right?
Yeah, I am. It's 7 p.m. here. Oh, it's nice to chat to you. Yeah. Tell me who you are.
Uh, sure. My name is Ryan. I'm a singer-songwriter. From New York. I've lived here my whole life. Um, and I've always been into like punk rock I think my first CD, even though they're not punk rock, my first CD was Third Eye Blind, and I think that kind of opened that door into like alternative music. And yeah, and then I was in a bunch of punk bands that didn't work out, and I think at one point I was like, I'm just gonna do this myself, and uh, I wanted to bring as much of the stuff that I liked into what I played, and it kind of turned into like, at least this new song turned into like a pop punk Frank Turnery ska song. So
Nice. I've been listening as well. It's making me think of like some like the UK bands like Dakar Skanks and Old Chase and You've the Faces Looking Blank. I can send you links as well to some of these bands as well, some of the UK bands. So like what's because I really like New York. I've not been to New York for a long long time because I live near London, and New York always reminds me it's like an American version of London, with like the metro and like the underground and everything.
yeah, I went to London once when I was 15, so I was a little too young to appreciate it. But I want to go back. But yeah, I remember the tube, and it's yours is so much cleaner.
Yours is so much more laid back. So I remember I was getting on the train. This guy when was asking directions, he's going, "Don't start the train yet. I'm asking directions." You couldn't do that in on the underground in London. You couldn't stop the driver for directions. It was yeah.
Yeah, you can do that here, but you run the risk of pissing off a lot of people.
To be fair, I wouldn't have argued with the guy. To tell us about the music scene in New York and the venues you've played and how you're promoting
Sure.
yourself as an indie artist.
So I've been doing like the music scene thing since roughly 2012. Maybe a little before that because I tried a few bands that just kind of faded out. But I actually, because I went to school, like college in New Jersey, I had a lot of roots in that scene at first, and so I played a lot of venues that like My Chemical Romance had played like before they when they were just starting. So like the Court Tavern, which is in New Brunswick, um, and probably in the last 3 years I've played at places like the Wonder Bar, which is in Asbury Park, and I kind of got a good foothold in New Jersey. And then after college ended, I kind of really dove into that. And then probably closer to like my mid 20s or later 20s, I was like, I live in New York. I should probably uh, dig in a little bit. And so I've played the Bitter End, which is probably I think it's one of the oldest bars in New York or venues in New York. Um, and I've played at Rockwood Music Hall, which isn't around anymore, but that was kind of always the local venue. Like anyone could play there. It didn't matter how like good you were or anything. As long as you showed up, you brought a few people. It was pretty much like you could come up and pick up and play. And all the shows, there was 3 stages, but all the shows for like the beginner, the quote unquote beginner stage, were free. So you could just walk in. If you were on the street and you just wanted to hear music, you walk in. Usually every night they went from like 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. or something like that.
Nice. It's like an open mic type thing.
Sort of, they booked you like it was like a formal show, but it was very like open. Like you could just pretty much get the show if you emailed them.
You know what? Those venues are brilliant, and it really helps promote artists like yourself and gets you out there to get you in front of people.
Hmm. There was another one I played. I haven't played in a long time, but the Delancey, that one's been around for a long time too, and it's like right under the Williamsburg Bridge, and that's a pretty like well known stage in New York also.
Whereabouts in New York do you live, Ryan? If you don't mind me asking, I can edit that out if you want.
It's my address is no. I'm in Queens. I'm in Woodside, Queens.
Cool.
So I'm like 4 or 5 miles from like Manhattan.
Okay. And you've never lived anywhere else? Have you always lived around?
Well, I grew up in Long Island, right on the line between where Long Island and Queens meet. So I actually went to school in Long Island, and I one my first show as a solo artist was actually in Long Island too. And but the thing, I think the reason why I wanted to move to the city because I wanted to just kind of get out of where I had lived my whole life. There wasn't too much music where I grew up. Like it was either like if you went all the way out of Long Island, like where it almost became like Connecticut, like that's where because there was literally a ferry. If you go to the end of Long Island, you could go to Connecticut. There was music out there. There was a lot of cover bands and stuff, but there was stuff. But where I was, there was nothing because it was so close to New York City. So it was pretty much like if you want entertainment, you just jump on the train. So I really kind of was like, if I wanted to get into that stuff, I either had to go very far or I had to spend the money to go into New York.
It does remind me of, like, as I said, American version of London. It felt like, it's bigger than, like, London's bigger than just the centre, and you've got all the outskirts, and it's all linked with this, like, the underground metro rail. So, can you tell me about your album art?
I actually just threw that together in Photoshop. But I do a lot of I'll pretty much film every set and I'll do a lot of if I have the time I'll do a lot of like the graphics and the video stuff myself because that's actually my day job. I'm a videographer, video editor, so I kind of use that as an opportunity to like if I want to try something new, I'd rather use it on myself than a client. But the album art is literally like assets that I got from a site I paid for, and I kind of cropped out my dog's head and put it on a business suit because that kind of is what the song is a little bit about. It's kind of like when you're doing like a creative career, and I've doubled down. I've done the music and the video stuff, and it's kind of like when you're doing that kind of career, it's like maybe I should have been good at math or something because I feel like I'm always drowning, but it's kind of it fits the art because it's like I do sometimes feel like a golden retriever walking around just like everything's fine, like.
Oh, so you've got a dog? Have you just got the one dog? Have you got other pets?
He's not. I got one. He's not a golden retriever, but it's the same idea.
Oh.
He's a Bichon Shih Tzu, so he's a small little guy, but small for by comparison. He's actually 19 pounds.
Okay. How long have you had him?
He's gonna be 8 this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he's been around. He it's funny. He tolerates when I practice. But certain songs, like I mentioned Third Eye Blind before, I think I was playing Semi Charmed Life like just on my acoustic, and at one point I saw him bobbing. I was like, all right, we're figuring out your tastes.
Oh, that's funny. I love having it because I've got 2 cats. Only because I've got a child who doesn't like dogs, but I'd have a dog as well if I could. Because dogs are brilliant. It's great having animals around. They do like really add value to your life, don't they?
Yeah, no, they're great. They really you're never bored.
No, you're not. One of my
cats. You can't be lazy either because they always are like they need something.
Oh yeah, and you sit down for a minute and they want something else, and you hear a meow or or a bark, and then you're off doing.
Hmm.
It's definitely keep you on your toes. You make independent films. Am I correct in thinking that, or a videographer for? You've done documentaries, or am
Yeah.
I?
So I've done. The documentaries weren't mine. I was hired to work on them. But one of them was directly related to music, especially music I'm like kind of had a part of, because it was about like the New Jersey music scene, and a lot of the people that I knew were in it. Um, so that was kind of cool. I was the video editor of that, and it was a long process because it was a very broad documentary. It basically, they wanted to cover the whole state, and I don't know how much you know about the history of music in New Jersey, but there's a lot of it. Like from Bruce Springsteen to like Sinatra and I'm blanking Frankie Valli and all that. So it was like an in-depth thing, and then it was like there was like 4 versions of it, and when we finished it, or we're near finishing it, they're like, cut it to 90 minutes, and I'm like, so that was a challenge, but we did it, and it's on Amazon and Tubi, believe it or not, Spotify now. So
You'll have to send me a link to that. So I did.
for sure.
Yeah, I did see. Do Immigrants Believe in America? The Rosie Garthwaite documentary. Were you involved in that, or Do Immigrants Believe in America?
I did a little bit on that. It's kind of that was kind of went from like a YouTube thing to like a bit of like a short mini doc, and I honestly I think it may have been taken down. I don't know what happened to that. It's funny. I hadn't thought about that in like years.
Yeah, because I was doing a bit of background research as you do, and that popped up, and I thought, I'm sure I've seen that before, but it's a bit,
okay.
but it's not. I've had it's a bit of a weird. It's in the UK at the minute. It's a bit of a weird landscape, isn't there, in terms of like, racism and how are you finding it over there?
It's an adventure here, that's for sure. I yeah, I mean, I personally don't love what's going on over here, and in terms of especially the immigration stuff. Um, but it's kind of a thing where I I I try to, in my music especially, like I try to make it come across like everyone, let's make sure everyone feels welcome. Let's make sure everyone knows that this music isn't mine. It's supposed to be like ours, and I want it to be that way. I don't want it to just like be empty words either. So that's kind of like when I'm playing, I always try to, at least if I have like, if I'm not like it's not like a crunch set where they'll like play 5 songs, get off. Like I always try to like be able to say something that's kind of inclusive and make sure everyone feels like it's a together thing.
Nice. No, I like that. That's very punk rock.
Yeah, and you learn that if you're really into punk rock, it was always about like, even though like it had like that counterculture thing, like it was, the point of that counterculture was it was inclusive, and it wasn't like no, you're not allowed in. It was just like, no, this is where everyone can go, no matter what the background is or how you're consider yourself different or the same. It was like that's what it is.
Can you tell me more about your music and the topics that you sing about and you address? I mean, you've sort of you've touched on that here with what you just said, but can you go more into more depth? Because you discuss like generational issues and what else?
Sure. So one thing the songs that I'm working on now that I hopefully get, the one that's out is about to come out on Friday. Like I said, was kind of more about like just feeling like overwhelmed in a world where you're trying to like just get your bearings in a creative outlet. But a lot of the other ones I've been working on are a little more political, and they're kind of voicing frustrations about certain things. Like I mean, I don't know where some of it just came from, because like it just, you can't avoid the news, and like it was just like I maybe caught wind of something, and I was just like, yeah, maybe we should fix this, but we don't. And one of them literally, I think, started with an annoyance about inflation, and I that kind of was like the root of it, and then it turned into a thing where, like, if you were to listen to it, I think it almost comes off as a breakup song. And
Yeah.
and but I'm sitting there like, no, because my friend even asked me about it. It's like, so who is this about? I was like, that's about inflation. Like, but that particular song, it's called I've been calling it crypto, like cryptocurrency. But that particular song, I took a lot of influence from, I don't know if you know the band Bayside.
Yeah.
Like I a lot of like what I put a lot of priority into is like the writing, like the lyrics. So like that's one band where I took a lot of writing inspiration from, and also like Streetlight Manifesto. I like wordy stuff, like. But when I started writing, because I actually, like we mentioned the film stuff, I really wanted to be a screenwriter. So I was trying for that for a number of years, and I wrote a bunch of screenplays. I started a bunch that I never finished, and after a while, it was kind of like you need representation for anyone to look at your stuff, and that's something I just didn't have. So I kind of was like, instead of these collecting digital dust on my computer, I was like, let me see if I can pull parts of them and turn them into songs. So like my first two EPs are pretty much pieces of screenplays,
Nice.
are like pilots for shows and stuff.
That's brilliant. Like, making something out of something else. I mean, that's ultimate creativity, isn't it? Especially with punk as well, like with the punk rock stuff, you like taking bits and like safety pinning things together and making it into something else and something that has substance and meaning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and a lot of it too was like I didn't want to write about people I knew really, because like you write about, everyone writes a breakup song and then that person hears it and then you're just like, and like it starts a snowball effect. So I was kind of like, how can I still like do something original and kind of that just feels fresh to me, and that was one way I was able to do it.
How do you adjust your promo angles for different social media platforms? So if you're doing like a promo for like Facebook and a promo for like Instagram or TikTok, how would you change that? How do you change that to fit those platforms?
Advantage of like having some video knowledge and stuff like that. So I do try, especially with this, because I hadn't released music in 3 years. And so I was like, especially with this one, I was like, let me play with some stuff and see what works and what doesn't. So I did, so far I've done like three kind of like baby music videos, and they kind of, and one of them didn't do good at all. The other two did okay. And like I set up a green screen in my apartment for one of them, and it just literally like a shot, because everything has to be vertical now. So like one of them's like a shot of half my face, and I'm just singing the words, and then the other half of it's just like I put my camera like right on my guitar, and it's just those two shots going back and forth, and then I just put weird things behind me and on the green screen, and it was just like a fun thing. And then the other second one I did was I found a bunch of stock footage of, and I don't know. I want to meet the person who decided that this was a piece of stock footage that someone may need eventually, because it's pretty funny. It was just a bunch of people sitting in an office with paper bags on their heads with faces drawn on the paper bags, and I'm just like, okay, why not? And I made like a mock, like you ever see like the medical commercial? Oh, I don't know if you guys have them. We have the medical commercials where the person talks really fast, like they try to blow past all the side effects. Because they've tried to make that illegal here, but I don't think it ever happened. Obviously, it didn't happen. But I made like a mock commercial of that with those paper bag stuff. And yeah, that was fun. And then another one I just kind of did like shots around my apartment of me playing guitar and stuff.
Nice. It makes me think of another band that I spoke to, Voodoo Radio. They're worth checking out, and they do a similar thing. They do like their social media videos and music videos in their flat, or like
Hmm.
out in places near their house and stuff. It's really, it just reminded me of that. And they were telling me one time they had a green screen, and they were doing something similar, but it didn't quite work out with the green screen. But yeah, I'll have to
Green screen is a pain. Like you have to. It really is a thing where everything has to be perfect. Like the light has to be hitting it just the right way. There can't be wrinkles in the thing, and yeah, it's a pain. Um, but that's like I think that's kind of what people are doing now. Like they're making 10 mini music videos instead of one that you spend all your budget on, because the presence now on social media is kind of outweighs the production quality in some
yeah.
ways. Like in people value the genuine over the perfect, and I think that's kind of where what artists are working with right now.
Yeah, it's all very like I'm a designer, so I'm a brand and marketing designer, and it's like a similar thing. It's like before you'd have that with brand, you'd have people spending a lot of money and time on one brand and designing one brand, but it's all about
Mm-hmm.
social media presence and people like you might have a website, but it's not like it used to be where you'd invest all this money into a website and a brand. It's like quick fix social media and make it look as professional as possible.
I think one thing it took me a long time to wrap my head around as someone who's kind of on both ends of it, like the poster and the person who's making the content. Like it, it took me a really long time to kind of just like, because I want it to be perfect,
Yeah,
and I'm like, and then I had to kind of just realize like it's more important that your message gets across than this like little thing that's driving me nuts because no one else is gonna see it.
yeah,
And it took a long time for me to like get past that.
yeah. I've got my memory's terrible. Like I've got a condition called dyspraxia. Don't know if you've ever heard of it. And
No.
it's like a learning difficulty, and you can like forget stuff at the drop of the hat. I could be talking to you and like words go. So it's like what is like in America, how are learning needs addressed, like autism and ADHD and dyslexia, are those addressed in schools or in the wider like
Um,
neurodivergency?
I mean, I'm definitely not an expert on that, but they're probably not addressed as much as they could be. But I know, like, from my perspective, I kind of had like, I never had any of those things, but I did have kind of like a bad experience, like with test taking. Like, I was awful at test taking. And that was kind of something where they will look at your test scores and then they'll be like, all right, well, you're not good at this, and like, no, maybe I'm just not a good test taker. Like that, it's like there's different types of learning, and I think it wasn't until more recently that I feel like they kind of the broad education system, maybe, or maybe just the teachers, started to acknowledge that. Because when I was in elementary school in the late '90s, early 2000s, it felt very different from like teachers that I know now that are a lot more like they're not, I wouldn't say experimental, but they try things with different students because no
Yeah.
student's the same. And I think that wasn't always the way it was looked at.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like, speaking to like people from different places and how these things are addressed as well. Like, you were talking about ads for healthcare in America, because we have the NHS here. Now, you can get private healthcare, but I
Mm-hmm.
can't, even though, we do pay for our healthcare through the tax system, but I can't
Mm-hmm.
imagine like not being able to see the doctor because I couldn't afford to go.
Yeah.
That
it
must be really hard. It's bad enough for the dentist. See, you can't see a dentist without having to pay.
I'm due for the dentist too. But it's, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm no fan of the way we run our healthcare system. But because I, especially in the creative fields, because a lot of usually like what is the norm, I guess here is you want a job that offers the healthcare, and in entertainment or in any form of entertainment, really, unless you're kind of on that like executive path, it's or you just somehow get into a staff role somewhere. It's all like freelance or it's contract work, and you're on your own for healthcare, and it sucks. Like I'm lucky, I guess. In some, it could be a lot worse. Like I'm paying, my rates have gone up, but like I'm paying like $500 a month, which is it hit you if you feel it, but it could be worse. And I don't have kids or anything, so I don't have as many as many dependents as other people do. But yeah, I wish we had a at least something where you weren't kind of feeling like you're trying to climb up from the bottom of the barrel, like because it's not conducive to a healthy society, literally or mentally, because you're burned out all the time trying to make sure you can pay for your bills. And like so the most people I know are trying to find multiple branches of income so they can pay all their bills or make sure they have groceries or make sure they, even if they some people I know are just trying to make enough money so they can take a week off. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not easy. It's not easy.
When you said 500 for rates, is that your rent or for the healthcare?
That's my premium, and then so like I'll pay 500 a month, and then when I go to the doctor, I pay a copay just to see the doctor, and then I get like a blood test or whatever materials they use. If I get an X-ray, I'll get an additional bill on top of that 500. So like I got last year when I got my checkup, I got a bunch of different blood tests, and you would think that would be covered by that 500, but that 500 is really just kind of for the subscription. So the 500 is Netflix, and if I wanted to watch a new movie, that's an additional fee on top of the Netflix subscription, if that's a better analogy.
Oh my god, so 500. And what's the average monthly wage in New York?
That depends on your job. Mine is I'm usually if I can pull in 3,000 a month, I'm happy. And then like I have rent, I have food, like obviously just expenses. But yeah, it's not the best. It's not the best.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the conversion because it's like because $3,000 would be about £2,000 in the UK roughly. Yeah, it's you're paying out a lot, and I think it's across the board as well. Like rents have gone up and everything, and
I'm like on the more I'm probably on the more fortunate end. I mean, it's I know a lot of people who are dealing with a lot more bills than I have. Like I'm lucky I don't have student loans, so like a lot of people are still like 10 15 years out of school, they're still working on that, and it just kind of hangs over your head.
And this is what you touch on in your songs as well, sort of that being able.
Yeah, I try to write like what I know. Like I don't try to speak for other people. So like I a lot of the things where like I've mentioned healthcare a handful of times. I've written songs that are kind of just like a bit. I feel like how elected officials, like sometimes it's like watch the left hand, so I'm doing something else with the right hand, and that kind of stuff where it's just like the dishonesty how it feels a lot of the time, and you just kind of are like, we all see it. You're not that slick. but it's like, but yet you get away with it anyway, and it's just that's the frustration that I have a lot.
Yeah, definitely. It's very frustrating. I'm gonna try not to go down like the generational thing, because I think like older generations have sort of pulled up the drawbridge and have been like, right, we've bought our houses and stuff now, and it's like everything's gone up, and it's very hard to get like a stable property for yourself now. Whereas 30 years ago, it really wasn't. Well, it was easier here. I don't know about in America.
I'm not anticipating owning any property anytime soon.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was like I forget. I don't want to say the wrong statistic. It was something along the lines where it's like millennials, like the average is like if you own a piece of property as a millennial, it's like you're over 40 or something like that. Yeah, I'm not holding my breath.
Oh. Yeah, it's tricky. It's very tricky. I mean, we have do you have social housing in America? We have something similar.
It depends on the state. Like, there's different. Every state would be different. New York has a form of it. It's kind of like it's more of an assist. I wouldn't say it's like free housing. It's an assistance thing. But I'm not. Yeah, that's not something I'm super well versed in.
Because with social housing, it's like you will pay rent. It'll be at a lower rate though, or you can buy a house with a housing association, which is classed as social housing. So you've sort of got a share in that property, which is, it's like I think that's the best that anyone can do if you can do it at the moment over here. I mean, rents are just ridiculous.
That was one thing that I think. I don't know, like Zoran Mamdani, who became mayor of New York City at the end of last year. That was a big part of his campaign, like rent freezing, because they wanted to stop rent hikes because a lot of costs were just costs in general are just going up. So it's like that on top of hiking rents. It gets impossible to stay in New York City, which is supposed to be like one of the highest like grossing cities, and if everyone feels like they have to leave, that's not going to be good for it. And the threat was like all the billionaires are going to leave. I was like, I don't think they're going to leave.
I don't think they're the ones who are going to be leaving. How does it feel, the difference between being in front of a camera and performing in front of people to being behind a camera and filming people? What's the difference for you? Which one do you prefer?
I hate being in front of a camera. I was never. I feel very. I've gotten better at it, but I always had like the body. I always felt like my body betrayed where my brain was. I didn't know what to do with my hands. I didn't know how to look. If I'm not talking too long, I look angry. And so I kind of always felt like I was not meant for that. But like when I'm playing on stage, it's like a different thing. Like obviously if someone's filming me, but it's like I'm doing something. So it's like my hands are on the guitar, my mouth is at the microphone, and like I know what I'm supposed to do, so I do it. And then on the behind the scenes angle, I like doing that because I just like there's like a creative control aspect that I really like. I like editing a lot. I've always been drawn to that. Like when it comes to video editing, that is definitely my strength. And camera stuff, I probably over the years I just got better at it. But editing was something where it just clicked.
And that'll lead me to like the YouTube channel. So you're releasing a YouTube channel?
I'm working on YouTube. I'm going to probably do a lot more with it because I feel like that's kind of where at least it's more tangible, at least from what I've seen, like to build more of a community online. YouTube kind of feels like that's where people can get to know you the best because there's just so many podcasts now and stuff. I don't want to make a podcast because it's like, how many do we need?
This is a podcast.
And I don't want, and you have the good kind. I'd just be rambling. So I kind of like, I kind of want to figure out what my niche could be on YouTube where it would be my thing, and maybe that would be the thing you come for with me. And with social media, it's like if you don't get them in like less than 2 seconds, it's like we're on to the next. So I want to figure out the balance there.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, I was going to do a design podcast, but as you said, there's so many out there, and I just didn't feel it. Just didn't feel right, and this has worked. This feels right, and it's worked. So I guess you'll find your niche. I tried to launch a YouTube channel, but nobody seems interested in it. So I'll stick with this for now because this is.
Yeah, I think it's like you have to, and I've heard multiple people say this. Like it's not about getting like the 300 million at once. It's about finding the 10 that really like you, and they'll bring in more.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what the tricky part is. It's like you got to find that first 10 to 50, and then you'll start growing because the interest, they'll share it with people they know will like it. And when you're shooting at everybody, like it's just you're gonna get one or two at a time. You're not gonna get the amount that you need.
So what would be your advice to someone starting their own YouTube video? How long should the videos be for a YouTube video?
I guess that would depend on what you're doing. I guess if you have an established audience, you could probably like go for an hour if you're depending on what you're doing, and if you're really good at talking and you're good on camera. If you're just starting out, like, I think it's more about making sure that you're leaning into what is your thing and what you're good at and what has value, because and then and like if that thing that you do, when people see that, the people who see value in that find you, then you could kind of start branching out, be able to kind of figure out what they like, what they don't like. And then what's good about YouTube is people will just straight up tell you if they don't like it, because they got the comment section right there. I know there's a few YouTubers that I watch, because like I use YouTube a lot for I found a lot of comedians on YouTube. I get a lot of news from YouTube. And like I remember there's one news guy who I watch, and he added like background music to his newscast, and it was like such a simple change. And then the comments were just like, "What is with the music? Get rid of it." And he's like, "Loud and clear, I hear you."
Well, when I launched my YouTube, I probably should have marketed it a bit better. I had no likes and no comments, and I was like, although 10 people had viewed it, but they didn't like it and they didn't comment, so I sort of thought I'll take the hint and gracefully slope back to.
I think it's a persistency thing too. Like you just got to keep feeding the beast, because I did have a job for a while where I was editing and like half producing a show, and it's a big beast to tackle. Like it's because it was a news program, so I was finding B-roll, I was finding sources and stuff, and it was just and editing it. So you're like bringing all this stuff in, you have to put it together, then you send it, they give you revisions, and by the time you look at your phone and you're like, holy crap, I've been working for 12 hours. And it's like, oh, I should probably sleep.
Yeah. I know that one. When you're working on a project and you're like, oh yeah, the kids are still up and it's midnight, I bet.
Oh yeah, I mean, I couldn't even, I don't have kids, or I'm single right now too, so it's like I can easily, which probably isn't the best either. I could fall into a rabbit hole and a week might go by.
But you've got your dog.
That's true. He won't let me do that.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to like discuss in more depth, or I know you've got a new release coming out.
Probably going to either do a lyric video, or it's probably going to be a lyric video for it. And that'll probably be out in the next couple months. And I'm working on 7 more songs. Hopefully get another single out this year. If it goes really well, maybe 2. but yeah, and I got a couple shows playing benefit for autism on April 18th down in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I play it every year. It's run by a guy named Jerry Ryan, and it's a 3 day thing. It's a good cause, and it's always a lot of fun. It's at a really cool bar called Tennessee Avenue Beer Hall, and it's got two stages. It's got an indoor stage and outdoor stage. Good food, and then I'm playing also in like upstate New York. I call it upstate because I live in New York City. It's technically not really upstate; it's just above me. But a place called Olives in Nyack, New York, and I'm playing there with some good friends of mine. So that'll be a fun show. That's May 16th. That's all I really have on the calendar for shows at the moment because I really want to spend a lot of time with recording. But I've been going to just to kind of make sure like I feel practice and also just test things out. I've been going to a lot of open mics around New York, and there's some really like I went to one last night called it's called underneath St. Mark's. It's like which is a section of New York City. Um, and it's like this really old theater, and they run an open mic out of it. And you put your name in a hat, and they pull your name out. You're there late. You could end up being there pretty late because if you're at the bottom of the hat. But it was a lot of fun. It's like you have 7 minutes, and like you get what you can get out really quick, and it's good. It's good especially if you're trying to like last night. I had to shorten my songs, and I had to think on my feet like okay, what can I pull out to make this fit and get 2 songs into the 7 minutes. So it makes you a good improviser if anything.
I was going to ask, you said that you had your 3 year gap from recording your last set of material to now. Why the 3 year gap? Is
Mostly putting money together because I wanted to make sure these songs were like really well done. And also I wanted I've kind of before this just kind of put the music out and hope for the best. And I wanted to make sure that if I was going to put all this money into something, I wanted to make sure it was promoted right. I wanted to make sure that people heard it. And and that's tough, like as we kind of go into this world where like Spotify has AI music now, and they're kind of just slipping it in with other music, and so people are not going to necessarily know what they're listening to. They might hear it and they're like, this sounds cool, but they might not even be a real person.
yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that if I'm doing this, I'm doing it with purpose and with a plan.
Okay.
So I think that was kind of a big part of it. And also I wanted to, especially after COVID, I wanted to just get out there and play more. And I think what really was a big drive, because I kind of didn't do anything for, obviously 2020, I didn't do anything, but 2021, people were really starting to get back out there, and I kind of was dragging my feet. And then 2022, I was like, I need to shake this off. I need to get back into playing. So I think 2022 and 2023, I mean, this doesn't sound like a lot, but for a singer-songwriter who doesn't play cover gigs, I was playing like 18 to 19 gigs per year. And that's roughly two a month. But if you're trying to bring people out and stuff, like that's a lot. It's like, hey, can you right after work, can you just come to this bar? Like, it's not easy, especially when I'm going to be 34 this year. And it's like, people have kids, people have jobs and stuff, and it's harder to bring people out. So I have to be a little strategic about that too. But so yeah, the last few years have been really just playing and going to other people's shows, networking, and let's hope it all pays off by the time these songs are done.
Yeah, do you know what I was saying to somebody earlier? If you aim for the moon, you'll catch some stars as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to look at it. A lot more positive than hopefully it'll all work.
I've had that mantra as well, but somebody said that to me, and I was like, I'm going to take that and start spreading it, because yeah. say that to my sons as well. If you're staying for the moon, you catch some stars, and sometimes the stars are better than the moon, aren't they? They sparkle more.
Yeah, I think that's something I've kind of learned. Like, you, I've definitely said it to friends of mine. Like, it's kind of a thing where instead of it's a baseball analogy, but instead of going for a home run, maybe a double is just as good. Like, like get it. If you gotta, instead of worrying about like the very end game, just worry about what's gonna be 2 weeks from now and what you can do in that time, and then eventually you may get to that end game. But let's just work in what's possible right now.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you some cheesy stuff now. Just in
Sure.
regards to like punk in New York and punk historically, because obviously like New York was like the birthplace of punk, really, wasn't it? With like CBGBs and the New York Dolls and the
Yeah.
Chelsea Hotel.
It's funny because I wrote in college. I wrote like a thesis on punk, and I kind of gave you guys the credit.
So I wrote a
Because
thesis on punk as well when I was doing college. When I went to art college and I was studying film, but we're talking about you. But yeah, I did punk as well.
yeah,
My thesis.
that's cool. Like it's there's a lot there. Like it's something you can really sink your teeth into. But it's yeah, I wrote about kind of like the Clash and the Sex Pistols and like what was it? I think they're from the UK, the Damned.
Yeah,
So I wrote about like them, and that's kind of where I got my impression where kind of punk started, and then obviously there's the Ramones, and then my connection to the Ramones is like they're from Queens, and that's where I live, and like so that was always like a cool thing. I never got to CBGBs unfortunately because it was gone by the time I was a teenager, I believe. But I did get to like there's places still like the Bitter End and Cafe Wah. Cafe Wah is a staple in Manhattan. I think that's been around since the late 50s. And it's not necessarily a punk venue, but still, it's like a historic place for live music. And yeah, I mean, I think what I really always liked about punk rock is just kind of like it was a great starting point, like in terms of like because when you're especially if you're a teenager, like I was like how can I'm already angsty. I'm like I want to get my ideas out. It's like, hey, why don't you just put these two fingers on this string, slide it down, get to this string and or this fret, and like you could write a song this way, and then you could even evolve that sound into keep it punk, but you could do something cooler. Like you could add solos to it. You can add crazy pedals to it, and just kind of build off of it. So it's really like the perfect way to build off of learning music, and that's kind of how I got drawn into it.
there was a fanzine, and they had this. I think on the front page it was like they showed you like the diagrams for
Oh
chords.
yes, yeah.
It was like, here are 3 chords. Now go
Mm-hmm.
start a band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that pretty much goes for every genre, and it's kind of like, but I think the first song I learned was a Nirvana cover song. So there was a song by, I don't remember the name of the band, but the song was called Molly's Lips, and Nirvana had covered it, and it was like on their MTV Unplugged thing, and it's 2 chords, and it's just up down up down up down, and I was like, oh, I can do this. And then that's when I started. It was like, okay, let me try learning this Green Day song. Let me try learning this. Let me try learning. Should I Stay or Should I Go? And all right, now let's try My Chemical Romance song, which is a little bit harder. And and then but then kind of like you get away from. In my case, I kind of got away from the bands and started doing the solo stuff. And there's kind of like a whole acoustic genre of punk rock, which is cool, and or bands that kind of incorporate acoustic into their punk sound. Like Alkaline Trio does that a lot. Frank Turner is a good example of that. Chuck Reagan from Hot Water Music. So there's a lot of bands like that I kind of, as I got older, like I was like, let's try this. Like the Gaslight Anthem is another one.
Is a Chelsea hotel still there?
It's still there. Yeah.
Have you ever been in?
No, a friend of mine mentioned it to me recently, and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't been there.
Yeah, maybe you should go if you can.
I should.
But can you just wander in? I don't know. I don't know how it works. Isn't it like private apartments now? I don't know.
I would have to look into that. Yeah, that's something I maybe neglected a little bit. There was one place that was always a good spot. It's still a venue, but it's shifting a little bit now. The Bowery Electric, they had a giant, I guess a mural of Joey Ramone and Blondie on the walls there, and that was always kind of like you could go in there and you could see a punk band. Eclectic mix of stuff, but there was always like usually you could go in there and find a pretty cool punk show, and that had 2 stages. Now they've turned it into more of a theater. This is like very recent, but there still seems like they're doing shows there too. But that was another one. I'm trying to think like what was always Gold Sounds in Brooklyn is another venue that has a lot of cool different types of shows, and I've played there in a few punk bands. Actually, if you want to hear a funny live story, when I was in a punk band called Wolfosaurus Rex, and the logo was literally the Jurassic Park logo, but with the singer's puppy. I clearly didn't stray too far from that idea. But it was like one of our last shows before we broke up. But the stage is kind of like 4 or 5 feet off the ground, and there was someone must have spilled a beer or something like on the right by where the stage and the floor meet, and I had a wireless rig, and I just gotten it, so I was like very excited to use it. And there was a part of his song where basically all I really did was like scratch on the guitar, so I was like jumping around, and I jumped off the stage right into that puddle.
Ooh.
And I slid, like I didn't fall to my credit, but I slid all the way to the back of the room, and I did my best to make it look intentional. But I probably would have wiped out so bad.
Oh no! Did you manage to get away with it, do you think? Or...
Yeah, I pulled it off. But that was funny because I you know, like that feeling like if you're ever on a roller coaster or something, like your stomach drops.
Yeah,
it was the exact same.
Oh my word! An experience, a bit of a frightening and fun fun. Was I say fun? I don't know, but yeah.
You know, it was fun when I realized I wasn't going to break my skull.
Yeah.
I played bass in a ska band for a little while, and ska bands, as you know, they're large. There's like 8 or 9 people in them. And one place that we played is called Crossroads. It's in New Jersey, another venue that's been around for 30, 40 years. Their stage, though, is not big. And so we got all 8 or 9 of us stuffed onto the stage, and I'm playing bass, and I jumped or something, and with the head of the guitar, I smacked our saxophonist in the back of the head, and he was bleeding, and and you just see red on the
oh no,
headstock of the bass guitar.
Oh,
and like, where did that come from? And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, that's not good. He kept going.
Did he? Oh my word! And yeah, did he have to go to the emergency room?
Should he have? Probably. Did he? No. But yeah, I think he's all right. 10 years or so have gone by, and I haven't heard anything bad. So.
Oh no! Stage injuries. You won't be in a punk band without them. You know what I mean? You get all these falling off of stage. I've done that. But
that's never fun.
It's never fun. Or falling over on stage. I fell backwards once. Yeah, but that's...
Oh no.
I know. I bounced back up and forgot all about it. Then I sat down the next day and I was like, oh my God, I remember falling over in front of... It was a festival as well. It was a big festival. There's a big punk festival in the UK called Rebellion Festivals. Have you ever heard of it?
Sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth, if you can ever come over and play on Rebellion Festivals, it's worth it. But I played one year, and I think it was the last time I played, I fell flat on my ass, which was I could laugh about it, but yeah, I didn't make it look as cool as you did with the slide.
You know what's funny? I saw on Instagram, because like we were saying before, everyone's just got to kind of make content. There's one band that I just kind of came across, and they were covering, I think it was a Green Day song, and they were on like a dock, and it was 4 members, and they were playing it, and around like 10 seconds, the drummer falls into the water. He literally, I think because he did like the 1, 2, 3, 4, and he sat back down on the drum throne and he just fell backwards. And the other guys didn't see it. They just started to play the song and they're like, where's the drums? And he's trying to climb out of the water. And they got like 70,000 likes. I was like, I think that may have just made your career. So
well, I better let you go. It's been nice talking to you. Have you got any last words?
Well.
Have you got any last words?
Check out my song. It'll be on all the streaming services. My Instagram, TikTok, and all that is at CMIYC Music. So catch me if you can. Just the acronym. And thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Ryan. Bye.
It's nice to meet you.
And
Bye.
you too. Bye. Punk Rock Creators Podcast. That was Ryan Hanratty. Check out his music and we'll catch you soon. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Bye.